This is Aman Khan. I'm an IT professional at Flatra Technologies. Along with me, I have Tabish Ansari, who will be helping me out with this session today. So I welcome you all guys to this master class, wherein from today we'll be starting with the Django framework, which is a Python-based web framework, and it is used for web development. So we'll be starting with Django from today. So till date, you all will be you all must be learning about Python and all the basics of Python. So I hope you all are clear with those concepts, because we will be needing the basics at least to go ahead with it. And okay, I'll also give a basic rough overview of what Python we'll be needing in over here. So don't worry. Uh, I think we should start. The timing was 10:30. It's already 10:31. So here, as you all can see on the screen, we have the agenda for today. What is web framework? Why Python Django? What is Django? Then companies using Django, installation, and so on and so forth. But today we'll be going through a basic overview of what Django is, and what Django is based on, how it works, what are the models on which Django works, and what are the architectures which Django uses, and all those things. Apart from that, I'll give you all a basic introduction of Python and the Python which we will be needing to work on Django. So let's start. Bismillah. So what Django is, or what Python is. So till date, you all were learning about Python. So let's remind you all once again that Python is one of the programming language. It is one of the interpreted language. To say interpreted language, what interpreted language means is it runs its code line by line and not a compiled language where a byte code is created. So interpreted language is a kind of low in performance but high in output. So you can do whatever you want in Python. So that's the strength of Python. That's the advantage of Python. And Python is widely used in many of the technologies nowadays, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, data analytics, data warehousing, etc., etc., etc. But the most widely used technology, most widely Python is most widely used in web frameworks. Now, what web frameworks and what web development means is, nowadays, previously when you used to use laptops and all those things, so we used to have applications installed on the laptops, and then we could use it. For example, Skype and etc. So we need to have an installation of those applications, and then only we were able to install then only we were able to use that applications. But nowadays, what advancement in technology has caused is that we can directly use those with the help of our web browser. For example, I'll show you one example. I think my screen is visible. I hope it is visible, right? So yeah, previously we need to have a calculator. We need to have a calculator so that we could use it for what do you say, calculations. But nowadays we can directly go on Google, type calculator, and we can see directly we can perform our calculations over here. So what made this possible? This was made possible. Hello, hello. Someone is speaking, I think. uh, okay, yeah, so we'll continue. So now directly searching, by searching calculator on Google, you can use the functionality of calculator without installing any of the softwares on your computer or desktop. Now what made this possible was with the help of web development technologies. Web development technology. Web development. Hello, hi. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are clear.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so now this was made possible with the help of web development technologies, and what we are going to learn is actually web development with the help of Django. So we learned Python, we learned the basics of Python. I hope you all guys know what is variable in Python, what are all the data structures used in Python. For example, the list in Python are declared with the help of round curly square brackets. The dictionaries which are indicated with the help of curly brackets, and so on and so forth. These are the data structures which are used in Python. Along with the data structures, I hope you all must be knowing the condition checking. For example, the if loops, the else loop. I'll show you one example. I have a code. So the if loop, the else loop, and etc. Yeah, so over here we can see the if and else loop. These are all the Python code. But now what you all are seeing on my screen, this is a code written in Django framework. We'll be coming up to this, but I am just going you all through what Python basics you must be needing. So this is the function definition. So the function definition, you all must know what a function is. You all must know the conditions, if conditions, else conditions. You all must know the loopings, the for loops, the if loops. You all know the for loop for I in range. Yeah, this is the for loop. So this was the basics of Python which all were learning. Now we will be implementing these basics in the Django framework, and we will be developing some very wonderful and beautiful websites for our projects. So let's move ahead and let's know what Django is. So moving ahead, Django is a framework of Python. Now I'm coming towards Django. Enough of Python, I think so. Yeah, so Django is a Python framework. What I mean by framework is, frameworks are softwares which are developed by engineers. Now, what's the need of developing such a software? Nah, we know Python, we have Python, we can develop a software. But yeah, you all need to take care of the efficiency of the code. You all need to take care of the running time of the code. You all need to take care of multiple things when you are writing a code. Now, these all things are handled with the help of a framework. What are frameworks? Software engineers have already written some of the codes which is highly efficient and robust in itself. So what this does is it helps in performing the high level implementation of code. Now I think I must be sounding vague, but I'll clear this out. I'll clear this concept. Now y'all can see on the screen, I have these folders: accounts, media, ready plates, and restaurants, etc, etc. Now many of these folders are provided by Django itself. Whenever I create a Django application or a Django project, this is by default provided by Django. I don't have to write any code. The code is pre-written, and that code is written by the framework developers. So that's what I mean by a framework. A framework is a software which is developed by engineers, which is highly efficient and robust, and helps in assisting us for better programming. So we can directly focus on our work rather than focusing on the connection of various things. Now connection of the database with our program, and the connection of our program with the HTML and the static pages and the dynamic sites, etc, etc. That all thing is done by the framework. What we have to focus is, we have to focus on the model development, we have to focus on the views, we have to focus on the code. Now I will be coming up on this, what are models and views. uh, be with me. So what the framework does is, it makes our code much more secure, and it helps us remove duplicate and redundant code, which in turn makes our code consistent, and with a fewer bugs. Because once you go towards development, that will cause much more of bugs. But if you all use a framework, that makes the concepts easy. So that's what a framework is. A web framework is a server side framework to support the development of dynamic websites with applications, web services, and resources. Now what we can develop, we can develop dynamic websites, we can develop web applications, as well as web services. The code which I was showing previously was a web service, an API service for our project. We can also develop web applications. We have already done that at our institute. We can develop dynamic websites. You all can see, we'll come towards the dynamic websites which are all developed in Django. So okay, so this is what a framework is. And a Python web framework is a library that makes the life of a web application developer easier for building flexible and scalable softwares. So you all must know Python libraries. For example, for calculation we use maths library, and so on and so forth. For CSV calculations we use pandas, we use data frames, we use series, etc. So those are libraries. Web framework is a kind of library which makes our work easier towards web development. I hope the web framework part is clear. Is it? Please a quick yes or no in the chat box, or can someone unmute and tell me? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we are good.
Yeah, great. Okay. So now we'll come towards Django framework. Now, why Django? Why only Django framework? There are many more Python frameworks available. For example, there is CherryPy, there is Flask API, there is Fast API, and etc. And then there is Django. And apart from the Python web frameworks, there are also other frameworks which you can see on my screen. There is Rails. There is Rails for Ruby. There is Angular for JS. There is React for JS, and there is Express for Node, etc., etc. So in the similar manner, there is Django for Python, and we have other Python frameworks such as CherryPy, Flask API, Fast API, etc., and many more. So why only Django? What are the advantages of Django over these other frameworks? So what Django does is it causes a tight integration between the components. These words must be difficult to understand, but I request you all to please be with me, and it will make it much more clear once we go ahead. So what Django does is it makes a tight integration between the components. Now what components is, I'll explain in much more deep. Django has one of the greatest feature of all time, that is the ORM mapping, object relational mapping. So previously in other frameworks, what you have to do is if you have to develop something, you need a database. And if you are having a database, you need to connect that database to your softwares, and you need to run the queries for the database, etc. What Django does is it does all those things with the help of ORM, object relational mapping. So you don't know what is going on with the database. You write code in Python, and the queries are executed in the database automatically by Django with the help of ORM. So that's the biggest advantage. That's the biggest advantage of Django. ORM, the object relational mapping thing, is the biggest advantage of Django. And then is that there is an automatic administration interface. I can show you this right now. So /. Yeah, so there is an admin panel. Now this admin panel is provided by Django by default. You all don't need to have write any of the code for this. Directly you can have an admin panel where you can see all the tables of your database and all those things. So this is also a greatest advantage which Django provides, the ORM thing, the automatic administration interface which Django provides. And also, apart from that, Django also provides multilingual support. So that's also a good thing to go with Django. Now, and now we have seen what are the advantages of Django. Okay, so but now we'll see what Django does, on what thing the Django works. Now, how is the working? How does Django perform its operation? So Django is a framework for building a fully functional web application. Now Django web framework is written on powerful Python language. I have explained all these points. Now here comes the important point. Django is a high level MVC style open source collection of libraries. As I explained, a framework is a collection of libraries, and Django is one such one such collection of libraries, but it is based on the MVC pattern. What is MVC pattern? We'll be seeing what an MVC pattern is. MVC means model, view, controller. And now this is the most famous pattern which is used in web development. Almost many of the web frameworks use this pattern, and Django also uses this pattern. Just a small correction over here is that Django uses the MVT pattern, that is model view template pattern, but just to exclaim, it's written there MVC pattern. I'll explain you what are these. The features of Django are Django is fast. There are tons of packages. Now what I mean by tons of packages is, for small things, if you all need some package, you can directly import the package and you can use it. No need to write a code on your own self. You can Django is such a language or such a framework that you can directly import all the things from the net, and without writing a single line of code, you can develop a web application. So that's the advantage of Django. That's the feature of Django. Django is secure. It provides many of the security features, just, such as CSRF and CORS headers, etc. So Django is a security rich features. It also has tokens, so that's also an advantage. Django is scalable. Yeah, I can explain you how is Django scalable. I'll show you that the companies which are using Django, and you all will be sure that Django is scalable, and Django is versatile, because many of in today's development environment, Django versus, you all can search Django versus Spring, and I'll show you Spring. And Django and Spring are heavily used, and Django is popular Python framework, and it is much more used as compared to Spring. So yeah, the advantages are greater, and Django is extremely faster, and that's the reason why Django is highly used in today's development world. So these were the features of Django. Now job trends, you all can see the job trends, professionals where you all can go once you are a highly experienced or you have great knowledge in Django. You all can go with the following jobs. So web developers, the UI developers, the full stack developers. Yeah, we can be a full stack developer with the help of Django. Then we have quality analysts, the architects, and the technical project managers who are Django developers. And these are the job profiles: the full stack developer profile, the senior Python software developer profile, the backend developer, and the data engineer. Yeah, okay. So I would also like to explain that you can also perform AI tasks such as machine learning and data engineering with the help of Django. Nothing is impossible. I said that you can do many things with the help of Django, and one such thing is data engineering in Django. So the companies using Django, I said that I said that you all will be sure once I show you the companies. The first company which you all can see, Instagram, most of you all must be using the NASA. They both and many others use Django as their major backend framework. So yeah, it is highly scalable, and it is highly secure, and that's the reason why these companies are nowadays using Django. So it's a language, it's a framework in demand, and I think you all should learn Django. We'll be completing the installation part a bit later. Before that, I would like to explain you all the technical terms involved in Django, so that it makes you all clear what Django is. Django is based on the MVC pattern, the model view controller pattern, and not on the MVC, but much more on the MVT pattern. But I'll first explain what is MVC, because MVC is the most widely used pattern nowadays. It is a software design pattern for developing web applications. Software design pattern. Now there are various of software design patterns, but here it is MVC is used. What M in MVC is model, which is responsible for managing and maintaining the data. In short, it is the database of the web framework or the web application. The view, which take care of the presentation, or how the screen will look at the user end, how will the interaction of the user takes place with the application, how the user interacts, how the user goes ahead with the calculations, and all the necessary things are done with the help of views. And controller is a backend part, controller which controls the interaction between the models and the views. So now this controls the interaction, how the views takes data from model, and how the data is sent back to the model. That's all done with the help of model and view controller. So now this is much more handled in Django with the help of MVT pattern. Now what MVT means is model view template. The controller part is handled by Django internally, so we don't have to worry about the Django controller part. That's done automatically. So these are all the rich features of Django, that we don't need to write any controllers, we don't need to define how the model will interact with the views, we don't need to define how the view will get data from the model, we don't need to interconnect those things. All those things are done automatically with the help of the Django framework. Means Django will handle it internally. You just need to call a view in the model, or you need to call the model in the view and use your model directly. No need to do anything else. Here an extra feature, a template has been added by Django. What template is? Now you can directly integrate your HTML CSS file into the Django thing, so you can connect your models and your views with the template. So uh, this is a one-stop solution. For example, you all are creating a database which you don't need to take care of. You just need to create a model that will automatically create a database, and then after the model you're writing a view which will define how those interactions will take place and all. And then after the views, you can connect your views to the templates. What templates are? HTML, CSS. My colleague Tabish will be explaining you all about the in much more detail about what are templates and all. So now views will be connected with the templates, and it's a one-stop solution. You can create a complete application in Django. So this is how a model view controller pattern works. The user or the end user, for example, over here, I'll be over here. So this is the this is the Django screen. I had started the Django application in my background over here. This is the Django screen over here, and now this is the user. I am the user. I am interacting with the admin panel. Say for the admin panel, I am creating a new user. Now whatever is done over here, is handled with the is handled by Django. Django will send the request to the URL page. I'll show you what I mean. Now over here, what is this? This is the URL. So Django will send the application to a URL, static admin, and it has to display all the admin parts. So it will be routing all those things to the URL. Then the URL will be routing all those things to the views over here, and then views will be doing all the required things on the model. So in this way, the Django framework works. The user request is sent to the Django framework. The Django framework then routes the request to the URL. Then URL checks which view is responsible to handle this request, and then it passes the request to the views part. And then the views will send will gather all the requirements from models, and will all gather requirements from the templates and display the templates back to the user. So this is in this way the MVT or MVC pattern work. The developer provides the model, the view, and the template, and then just maps it to a URL. And Django does the magic to serve it to the user. So this is what is done in the backend. In short, this is how MVC or MVT work. So let's move ahead. I think we should continue with the installation part. Before that, guys, don't worry if anything seems vague or anything which is not understandable or unclear now will be clear once we are done with the installation. We'll go through the installation of Visual Studio Code, and then Tabish will show you all the installation of Django, and then we create a project, and then we'll continue. Okay, so over to you, Tabish. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He's doing. Okay. Okay. He'll continue by 5 minutes. Till then, I'll just take a quick revision what we have done till date. What is first of all, what is Python? It is a coding language. It is a programming language. You all have learned this language over weeks from Khizar sir and Irshad sir, Dilshad sir. And then from today, we are starting with the Django framework in this masterclass series of Python. So Django is actually a web framework, which is a web framework which works with the help of Python, a Python web framework, in fact. And what web framework does, it assists the developer in creating web applications or web services or dynamic websites, etc., 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 easily without the need of writing much code. So that's what web framework does. There are many web frameworks. You can use Angular for JavaScript. You can use React for JavaScript. In the similar way, you can use Django for Python, and we'll be learning Django because we were learning Python, and this is a Python masterclass series. So why Python and Django? I told you all the advantages of Django. It creates a tight integration between the components. Now how this is done, I'll be explaining you all how this tight integration is done. Once we are done with this installation and this Django project part, I'll show you how the integration is done between Python and all. So those points will be much more clear. What is object relational mapping? What ORM does is you don't have to deal with the database. You don't have to write big SQL queries and all those things to extract your data. Everything is done by Python itself. I'll show you one example. I had done one thing yesterday only. Yeah. So here you can see there is a query written here. But if I think y'all must have a basic knowledge of SQL, but y'all there are three queries written here, but y'all will be like, where is the query? So yeah, this is the query, this is the query, this is the query, and this is the query. These are the three models, and the queries are written in such a manner that everything is clear to you now. This is the model name. We are calling all the objects. From dot objects, we are getting the user, which is passed in the request. So we'll also be covering what are HTTP requests, what are HTTP response, and then we will be going towards the API development. So the query writing is such simpler in Django as compared to other queries where you will have to write in detail like what a the select so and so and all those things, select star from restaurant, that queries are not needed over here. So this is the advantage what Django provides. So okay, now Tabish will be taking on from here. uh okay. Over to
Aman,
you.
I
Yes,
have a
yes.
one question here.
Yeah, please.
So you talked about the some security feature in the Django framework.
Yes.
Like, is there any out of the box framework provided by Django in terms of implementing the login security? Like
Yeah.
for ASP.NET, we have a OWIN framework, right?
Yeah.
So similar way, is there any framework which provides the implementing the login feature?
Yeah, so the login feature is we don't have to write any code. By default, Django provides login feature. We just don't have to write any code. We can use pre-written functions in Django. So the Django framework provides the functions. We just need to pass the username and password, and that's it to the function. Everything will be handled by the function. No need to write a logic. No need to write a code. No need to write a query. So that's one out of the box feature provided by Django. Apart from that, if you all need any other features, for example, if you all need a token based authentication or other types of authentication such as the bearer token wala authentication or the OAuth 2 authentication which the Google uses, so that are also provided with the help of various modules which you can import in Django directly without writing any of the codes. So that's the feature and that's the advantage of using Django. There are many such libraries written. You can directly use, for example, OAuth 2 in Django. Yeah, there is one more JWT, Django Web
Yeah.
token. So these all the things which you can directly use. See, directly the toolkits are provided. All you have to do is just import the toolkit and start using it. That's it. The installation
Okay.
part, the syncing the database. See, this is the installation part. Put it in your apps and start using that. Nothing else. Directly, you have the URL provided. That's it. Nothing else. No code written.
Mhm.
Anything
Okay.
else?
One last thing,
Yeah.
like you talked about that we do not have to do a data layer implementation in
Mm-hmm.
Django,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So in terms of if I want to secure my data layer, even though the programmer will be writing certain APIs to pull out the data, and I wanted to make sure that any other API interacting with my database should not be allowed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. So
uh, do we-
yeah. So as I explained that the various authentications. So you can apply those authentications to each and every functions of your API. So whenever you write a function for an API, you give a URL for an API, and the URL interacts with the function, right? So
Hmm.
you can implement the authentication. You can enforce the authentication on that function, that whenever an API is called, the authentication is a must, so that the API must be called, or else no data interaction, or else nothing will be provided. So
Okay.
yeah, that can be done. You can use permission classes. Permission classes can be used
Mhm.
directly, and you can define the type of authentication required for accessing that URL.
Okay, great. Thanks, Aman. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Okay, so I would like to request my colleague Tabish to take over from here. He'll be explaining the installation of Visual Studio Code, which is, I think, one of the best editors IDEs used for these developments and all. We also personally use Visual Studio Code, so he'll be explaining the installation of Visual Studio Code as well as the installation of Django. So over to you, Tabish.
Okay, hello. Am I audible? Hello. Okay. So I'll share my screen.
Not clear, sir.
Okay.
Audio is not clear, sir.
Hello. Is it clear now? Hello.
Yes,
Yeah. So we'll continue. Let me share my screen. So my name is Tabish, Tabish Ansari. I'm a backend developer at Flatter Technologies. I'll be explaining the installation part of the VS Code and Python plus Django and some other things. So let's start with VS Code. Uh, it is not a difficult process. Simply install VS Code in your browser. I'm using Ubuntu. So if you're using Windows or any other operating system, so in Windows it is the installation part is much easier than Ubuntu. In Ubuntu we use the terminal, but using Windows we can download the exe file and directly install it. So I'm using Ubuntu, so I'll show the Ubuntu part only. Okay. So the first link, that is Visual Studio Code website. So this is the command. This is the only command, or you can update. You can do these things. That is app update, sudo app update, sudo app install code. These are the these are there are two ways of installing. You can directly do installation using sudo app install code, classic code. So I'll do that one. So is my terminal visible?
No, no, no.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
it should. Yeah, yeah.
so just put the command on the terminal, and then you'll have to enter the password for your system. So I've already installed. So I think you should do this process. I've already installed, and I already have the Visual Studio Code in my browser, in my system. So this is the process for Ubuntu, and for Windows we can simply install VS Code on Windows. So you can download it from the official website of VS Code, that is Visual Studio Code. So the process is very simple. So I think I'm clear now. The installation part of VS Code is clear. Is it?
Can you please show how to install in Windows if you have another PC or system with Windows?
Okay. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, so my colleague Aman will show it on another PC. Wait.
Sound. Can you please clear the sound?
Hello. Yes, guys. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I started the installation part from VS Code. So all you have to do is search on Google, install VS Code. From there, okay. Someone is on unmute. Please, can you mute your mic because that's causing an echo over here.
Audio is not clear, sir.
Hello, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I hope the audio is clear now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Clear.
yeah.
Much
So
clear.
Clear, sir.
yeah, you all can see the screen. All you have to do is Google search on Google Chrome, install VS Code. Once you click on search button, open the first link and directly click on the first link, that is the exe for the Windows part. Now that link will direct you to a downloading setup page. Now this exe file will be downloaded directly to this to your system. All you have to do is run that exe file. I'll go through it once. Once it's downloaded. Yeah. So yeah, it's done downloading. We have the VS Code setup. You just double click on it once and the setup will open up. Or I already had a Visual Studio Code setup, but I'll go through it once again. Click on the I accept agreement, click next. Now over here, just remember to tick on one thing, which is the most important thing: add to path. Now add to path is the important tick over here, because all your interactions with Python and all those things are done with the help of path variable. So this is important. Other than that, you have additional icons wherever you need. Just click on that and then click next, and then just click on the install, and it will directly install VS Code. Wait for the installation to complete. That's it, done. Click on the finish installation part, and then it will launch the Visual Studio Code. I hope the Visual Studio Code screen is visible. I'll open it from scratch so that I can show you what you all have to do. Yeah, close. Yeah. So now whenever you all install a Visual Studio Code, you'll get such a screen, and from here you can start the other installations or the required things which you all need to do. So that will be explained by Tabish. I hope the installation part is clear. Anyone having any doubts in the installation, you all can please go ahead, ask your doubts in the chat box, or you all can unmute the mic, please.
Yeah, just clear. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, over to you, Tabish. You can continue.
Yeah, so Aman showed you how to install VS Code on a Windows system. So I think it is clear. So we'll go with now we'll first install Python, and after that we'll go for Django. So let me share my screen once again. Hello. Yeah, so my screen wasn't visible. Now it is, I think. So now we'll go for Python. So that is we'll install it from the official website of Python, and I suggest you that use the older versions. That is, the newer version aren't they are stable, but there are some things which haven't been addressed yet. There are some problems, there are some issues, there are some errors which haven't been addressed yet. That is, we find answers using Stack Overflow. We find answers from the Stack Overflow, but the newer versions of Django as well as Python, it is a chance that the error is you get that error for the first time. That is, no other person has ever got that error. So I think we should install the older versions. So that is the issues has been addressed already. So I think I'm clear. So we'll simply search install Python and go to the official website of Python, and the newest version is 3.10, and 3.10 is is the version which has addressed many many of the issues has been addressed. So you can use this, but if a new version of Python is released after 2 days or 4 days, so I think you should stick to this version only. Okay, so we'll simply download it, and I have already installed. I already have it on my system. So this is one way of installing Python. The other way is using the terminal. So we'll search install Python on Ubuntu using terminal. So here's a command sudo apt get install Python. So using this command, you can install it on Ubuntu, and for Windows, I suggest you use this website only, so that you will get a .exe file. Now I've got a .xz file that is suitable for a Linux system, and for Windows we use .exe file. So the I think I should show you installation of Windows. That is Aman will show you it on Linux system. So wait a minute.
Yes, Gagan.
Okay, let's install Python as well. Search down install Python. Click on the first link. I hope I'm audible. I'm audible, guys?
Yes, Aman.
Okay, great. Now click on the first link, or you can directly click on the releases of Python. I suggest go with the installer part. I'll show you once again. Either you can click over here, or see the exe part has already started downloading. Or if you all are not able to find the download exe file over here, or that link is giving an issue, just click on the Windows thing, and there you will get an option to install the installer, Windows installer. Please take a note, download the Windows installer. So go for the version which your system supports. It can be anything. So see, the both are the same. Both links are the same. I'll cancel one of them. Yeah, what happened? The net over here is causing some issue, I think. Oh, it's great. It's great. I don't think Python is already installed on this system. So yeah, you all will be seeing it for the first time over here. I don't know why the link is giving some issue. Still the same. Okay, let it download. Till then we'll go through an overview of Python. So this is the official documentation. Yeah. Okay, to tell you all guys one more thing, we have a very vast documentation of Django. We guys also refer the same. So this is the official documentation which Django provides. See, the documentation link is present over here. You can directly click on the documentation link, and right from the setup of the project till a complete depth of what all is required for completion of your project is provided by Django. All those things are categorized very well. This is the one of the greatest advantage which Django provides. So you can go through the documentation. Okay, so what we can say, the documentation is a kind of bible for the developers. Whenever you need something, you directly jump into the documentation, you read something. For example, I'll show you one thing while working with the DRF part, the Django REST framework, which we will be learning in the upcoming videos. This is the documentation for Django REST framework. So there are various issues which we face. For example, sometimes we face issues with the views and all those things. So we always jump over here. We first check out our issue, the related things. We search with the class based views. We search our issues. We search our problems. See the class based views. Now I am facing an issue in this class based view, so how can I resolve? So I go in depth. I read the documentation, because this is the actual documentation. Now this is the documentation which the developer provides, so we must know what is going on, and then we read the documentation and then we move ahead. So yeah, we have the exe file downloaded. Let's go with the installation. Just double click on the exe file. You will see this page. One more important path over here, one more important point over here. Click this add python 3.10 to the path, or else you all will have to do it manually, which is a kind of complex thing. So directly click on the add python 3.10 to the path, and that will do the thing for you. And click on the install now button. It will install the python for you. Click yes. It will do all the required things for you. No need to worry. The installer will take care of all the required things. Okay, but do remember to check on the add python to the path thing, because if you all don't do that, your system won't be able to find the python interpreter or the python compiler, in saying in your word. So if the system is not able to find python, you all won't be able to execute any of the code of python. So this is an important step. Please add python to your path and then directly click on the installation thing. It will install the required compilers and interpreters to run your python code, and that will do the work for you. Just wait for a few more seconds. Yeah, we were on documentation thing. So if anywhere in middle of something you all face some issues, you all can always refer to the documentation. They have in complete depth whatever you'll need is done over here. Now the setup was successful. That means we have the python thing set up. We can check it by going into the command prompt and just type python and press enter. And here you all can see the python 3.10 which we installed just now is running. Now I'll print welcome by master class. Let this be Django. Okay, yeah, I hope this should print. Yeah, great. Welcome to the Django. Oh, my spelling mistake, my bad. Welcome to Django masterclass. So yeah, we have successfully installed Django, and you all can stop Python.
Connect చేస్తే అయిపోయినా దాన్ని స్టార్ట్ చేయాలని
Sorry, hello.
Please unmute.
Hello.
Unmute all.
Oh yeah.
Please mute all, please.
Okay, I'll do that. So yeah, we have successful. Hello, yeah. Yes, please. Someone needs to say something. I think someone wants to ask a doubt.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so it mentioned some REST API framework. So is it useful for REST API development also? Django
Yeah,
framework?
why not? We are doing that thing over here. We are developing REST frameworks only. We are developing APIs with the help of Django. That's what I said. Django is highly scalable and highly versatile. You can do whatever you want, including the data engineering, AI ML part, as well as the API development and the web application developments. So yeah, that's the one of the greatest features of Django.
Wonderful. Thank you for the response.
Yeah, great. Okay, so should we move ahead with the Django installation? You all guys need it in Windows, or I think the Django installation is same for Windows as well as Linux, because that is done with the help of Python installation package pip thing. So that is the common over here as pip install Django. See, this is common for both. This is common for Windows as well as Ubuntu. So I hope Tabish can continue from here, because see, it is that simple. But I think showing you all in the virtual environment will be much more better or much more efficient. So Tabish, you can continue from here.
Yeah. So Aman, can you stop sharing your screen? So, hello.
Hello, it's not audible.
Hello. Is it now?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think now Python is installed, VS Code is installed. So we'll go with Django, and there is one more thing, that is the virtual environment. So I'll take a minute to explain it. So virtual environment is an as the name suggests, it is an environment in which so let me start with the beginning. So we are installing many packages. So if you're using building a big application, so you're using many Python packages. So that so if you install let me show it. If you're using it you're using pip to install, so it is, if you're outside of the your virtual environment, the packages will be installed in the system, whole system, that is whole computer will have those packages. So it is not that you're building only one app in your whole life. You're building many application, many web apps in your life. So your for every project will start a new virtual environment. That is all the packages we are going to use in the website, our web app, that is web application. So that will be installed in a part of your PC, that will be that will be used for that website only. Is it clear now?
Yes. One question I would like to ask.
Yes, please.
If I have some existing project,
Yeah.
okay, for
Yeah.
which I have not created any virtual environment yet. So
Yeah.
can I create virtual environment for that existing project also?
Yeah, you can do it, but I'll suggest you that before starting the project, you should create a virtual environment.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I need to create one folder first, and within that we are going to create a virtual environment.
So yes, you can do it, but I think we'll go from the beginning as everyone is with us.
Sure. Yeah. In fact, I just have Python installed with me. I don't have anything else.
So you're doing it along us.
Yes.
Yeah, that is good. So I think we'll start now. So you can simply use it. I think I suggest you one thing, that every time you want to install a package, simply go on YouTube, that is Google, and search you want to install virtual environment 5 for Python. So install virtual env Python 3. We are using Python 3, so this is the command. This is how we search for it. So yeah, we already have package, so it is showing first install pip. We already have pip. I can show you. We installed Python, pip is already installed. So if you want to check the version of is it if pip is installed or not, you can check it directly using pip hyphen version. Uh, pip, that is pip 3 hyphen version. So here it is. My pip version is 20.0.2. You can use any version suitable with Python 3. That is, if you're installing along with us, pip is already installed. You can check, or you can check and let me know. If that is not, we can install pip also. Yeah, is it?
pip is working. I can see pip version 21.2.4.
Okay, so while installing Python, it is already installed. So we'll go with the next part, that is the virtual environment. So it is saying first install the pip. That will go for another one. Install packages using pip. So here's the command. Python 3. We'll use the Windows, that is everyone is with us. So we'll copy this command and paste it in our system. My system is Python Ubuntu, so I'll go with the other one. Requirement already, it says it is saying requirement already satisfied. That is I already have virtual env on my desktop, so you can install using this command, or you can directly search on Google how to install virtual env. So will now I think everything is installed. Django is still not installed yet. So I already told you that the packages which we are going to use, will install it in the virtual env. We have installed VS Code, Python, and first we install the virtual environment, and then in the virtual environment, after that in the virtual environment we'll install Django. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Django will be available only for our project which we are creating now.
So it is also one more thing that is with the virtual env, that is we sometimes use Django version, different Django versions. That is sometimes we use 2.2. Currently we have Django 3, and I think in November or December Django 4 is going to release. So there are some projects which are built in early time, that is a year back, and you got a project that you will have to fix some bugs in that. So that person has used Django 2.2, and now we are using Django 3, or in some days we'll use Django 4. So that is one more thing. That person has Django 2.2, so we can install Django 2.2 in his project, that is in his virtual env. Yeah. Okay. And for ourselves, we can use the older version or the newer version as we need. Yeah. So we'll go in.
Tabish, one question. It is a similar way to like this one, or say Angular projects that we install the npm packages.
Yeah, it is same. In npm. Npm is a package manager for JavaScript, and pip is a package manager for Python. So in JavaScript we install packages using npm, and in Python we install using pip or pip3. In Linux or Mac OS we use pip3 or Python 3, and for Windows we directly use pip. So it is kind of npm of Python. Is it clear?
Yeah. Thanks.
So we'll go with the creating of a virtual environment. We have already, I think I did the installation already of the virtual environment. So we'll create a new virtual environment in the terminal. I'll write. So first, I think in Linux, I think we'll cover some Linux commands as well along with. So in Linux, we use ls to list all directories, in our folder. So I'm using ls. So these are my directories. So I think for beginners, I suggest that keep all your directories, that is projects on desktop. So I'll cd is change directory.
First of all, I'll start with creating a virtual environment. Let's do one thing. I'll be creating the virtual environment. I'll be starting the project. I'll explain you all whatever part is left from my end, and then Tabish will continue and he'll show you how an actual application is developed. So I hope that flow will work today. Let's list all those things. I like to put all my as Tabish said that he likes to put all those folders on the desktop. I like to put my things on the dev folder. So here these are all my projects which I'm working on. So I'll be creating a new directory. Let's name it as demo and cd to that demo directory. Okay, this demo directory entry. Now over here I'll be creating the virtual environment. So the command for virtual environment is different for Windows as well as Linux, but you all don't need to worry of that because you all can directly go on Google and search virtual environment in Python for Windows as well as for Linux. I'll be showing for Linux, and on the very much similar lines that goes for Windows. So don't worry. And you click, you type virtual env space. Now, what's the name of the virtual environment? If you all want to create the current folder as the virtual environment, you all just need to put a dot over here. Or else, if you all want to create a new folder with the name as specified, you can type in. I'll type the name as env. Okay. So now my virtual environment is created. I'll list it. See that's the virtual environment which was created just now. Let's move into it and I'll show you what actually the virtual environment consists of. Let's clear the screen and show you. Now these are the contents which the virtual environment consists of by default. Now by default means it installs some required things such as the Python and all those things. But what actually virtual environment is, for example, we have a class, okay, and we have a school. So our system is kind of a school which consists of many classes. One class is of Java, one class is of JavaScript, one class is of Python, one class is of Ruby, one class is of etc, whatever languages you all say. Okay, so all these classes are included in that school. So in the similar fashion, all these packages are present in our system, in our computer. But the issue is sometimes we need some different version of Django for our project. Sometimes we need version 2.2, sometimes we need version 3. So all those requirements, how to fulfill those requirements? If we start working on Django directly on the school, that won't work now. We need to separate our class. We need to separate a class. We say this is a Django class for so and so project. We say this is a Django. Now here I've created envi. So this is one of the class, one of the separate entity which I have created. And now here I can install all those packages which I require according to my project, and those packages will remain till that virtual environment is active. That's it. Outside of that virtual environment, you won't get anything. Getting my point? So the packages which I need for my project will be present in my virtual environment, and when I come out of the virtual environment, there is nothing there. So that creates a kind of abstraction from the system, that creates a kind of difference from the system wherein I can work freely, I can install, because sometimes some packages cause conflicts among each other. So to avoid those things and those complexities, we create a virtual environment. In the similar fashion, I have also created a virtual environment. Here I will type source bin and activate. Now what is this command used for? This command is used for activating the virtual environment. Now as I said, we have a school, we have a class. Yes, we do have a class, we have a virtual environment created, but now we need to go into that class. We need to activate that virtual environment so that we can work in it. If we don't activate a virtual environment, that means we are not working in that virtual environment. So just to keep it simple, to work in a virtual environment, we need to activate, and the command is source space bin/activate, and press enter. Now you can see a difference over here. This means the virtual environment is active. This means the virtual environment is active. Now I'll try Python 3, and the Python 3 version 3.8 is over here. I may have some other version of Python installed in this virtual environment. So there are various other options available for you to ponder over. Now let's move ahead with the installation of Django. Please do remember to install all your things in the virtual environment and avoid installing it globally, because global installations can cause issues later on. Okay, so please take a note of that thing. Okay, so let's install Django. I'll type pip install Django, which I did over there. One sec, let me make it pip3, because there are two versions. By default in Ubuntu you have pip as well as pip3. Pip is for Python 2, pip3 is for Python 3. So we need to specify which version of pip you are using. Now you, as you all can see, we have the pip3 installed. Let's move to the folder which I have created, the demo folder, and here's the env folder. Here I have the Django installed. Now let's open it in Visual Code. Just right click. This goes the same with Windows as well as Ubuntu. Right click, open with other application, and click on Visual Studio Code. That's it. That's all you have to do. And now this is a very good feature of Ubuntu, that the terminal is integrated. The terminal is integrated. Y'all can see now. Y'all can press the control and the tilt sign. The tilt sign is present just below the escape button. The tilt sign. I'll type the tilt sign. Okay, yeah. So the tilt sign is present just below the escape button. Once you all press the control and the tilt sign, you all can see the terminal, or else you all can directly open it from the view button as well. Okay, so okay, here you have the terminal option. Directly click on new terminal and you will see the terminal directly. So now once we are in the terminal, over here we need to activate the virtual environment. What I'll do, I'll press source bin activate, press enter. The virtual environment is active. I'll click on Django and it will show all the okay, so oh, wait one sec. Yeah, that's the command, hyphen version. Now that will show the version of the Django which is involved installed. Now we need to start a project. The actual thing now, we'll be starting with the actual virtual environment. We'll be starting with the actual project. So how to start a Django project? You all just need to type Django -admin space start project space, and name the project. Before that, I will like to show you all the commands which are available with Django admin. See, all these are the commands which you all can use with the help of Django admin. We are going to use this as well as startup thing. I'll show you. I am copying the start project part. I'll press Django -admin and I'll paste the start project space. Now I'll name the project. Let's name it class, no, Django demo, and press enter. Now you all can see over here, by default I just had bin and lib. Now there's one more folder over here, and inside that I have one more folder. So now I have two folders with the same name, and I have one more file name as manage.py. Now I just wrote one small line, and from where did all this code come from? Because I never wrote such a big code. I never wrote all these files. I never wrote the manage.py file, but they all came by default. So how did they come? They are written. This is what a framework means. They are written by default and they make the work easier. So that's what I was saying. Django makes the work easier. Now when you all start a project, you come over these files by default. Now what are these files? The settings.py file, the urls.py file. I'll take the help of the PDF to explain you all these in detail. We have completed this installation part. We have completed this MVT pattern, and now I'll show you these. So I had this Django admin start project, my project thing. Now after that, my project similar to this Django demo that is now created. Now I'll be explaining what is the project structure. Now project structure is, now this name, this is the root. These things are in the root of your project. What does the root of a project means? The file, the directory where the manage.py file is the root of your project. I'll show you from here as well. Go to the folder, enter the virtual environment, open the demo page. Now this is the root of the folder. This is the root directory means where the manage.py file is. This is the most important file. Please do take care of this file. This is the most important file in Django. And you all have to set up Git now. Once you all go into project development and all those things, you all will be requiring to set up some version controls. So for example, Git. So everything and whatever setups are done, that's done in the root folder. Okay. And what root folder is? The folder or the directory where the manage.py file is. Okay, so moving ahead, this is the project structure. This is the folder is just your project container or the directory. You can rename it to anything. Okay, so you can rename this my project to we generally rename it to src. We rename it to src because that indicates the source folder. And then after that you have these two folders. Never rename this folder because that's containing some important files. I'll be coming to that. And the manage.py file. So that's the directory. Now the my project, the second folder which he is showing in the PDF, or the Django demo folder which is now present, is the folder or the actual Python package of your project, which contains some default files. Now some default files which I showed you, the init.py, the settings.py file. What is the init.py file? It is just an empty file. It is just an empty file. It won't contain anything. For example, now let's start an application. Now what an application is Django, what an application in Django is, please don't confuse yourself with the normal applications. In Django, application means a simple independent module of that project. This is the project, the Django demo is the project, and the application is another independent individual of the very same project. And the command for the same will be Python 3 space manage.py. Here manage.py file is the file which we are referring here. We are commanding Python to run manage.py file, and we will be passing some parameters. Now the parameter will be start app, means we are commanding Django to start an application. Let me take this up so that, okay, control Z. Let's clear the terminal. Python 3 manage.py start app space means we are commanding manage.py to start an application, and we'll name that application accounts. Okay, so okay, yeah, so Python. Okay, so here look over here, can't open the file manage.py file. That's the reason why we need to list the directory. Do we have manage.py file over here? We don't. So we need to move to the source folder where the manage.py file is already present. And now I'll run the command start app, and now you all can see the accounts app is by default created with much more code as before. And now I haven't written this code, but the code is written by default, and that's what the framework does. An application is an independent entity of my project, and a website or a web application or a web service can consist many such applications such as account. This account is one of application. I can start one more application. Let's name it a demo. Let's create one more application. Let's name it demo 1. Let's create it with my name. Let's create an application with Tabish's name. So I can create many such applications over here. Accounts, there is Aman, there is demo, there is demo 1, and these are all independent entities. Each is independent of the other, and there will be some code present in it. Now I was on init.py file. That init.py file is an empty file, is just an empty file, but it will indicate that there are many other files present in this directory. So whenever you are, it will make this Aman as a callable entity. Getting my point? Init.py file will make Aman as a callable entity. So when I go in Tabish, and when I go in views, and I'll write from space Aman, so it will show me the files which are present in aman.aman. Yeah, so it will make Aman a callable entity. So in the similar manner, accounts will be made a callable entity with the help of init.py file. Coming to the next file, what admin.py file is. Now, okay, before that, come to the most important file, the models.py file. Now what models.py file is, here you define the data structure. Now here you don't need to create a database, you don't need to create anything. All you have to create is a class with the name of your table. Let's keep it Aman. Now let's keep it test over here. Now you will inherit this class from models.model, and I will start declaring my fields over here, and those fields will be creating those fields will be created with the table name as test and the column name as the field which I declare over here. So that it's that simple to create a table in Django. So this is the model.py file, and what admin does is admin is used to, okay, one more good feature of Python. Oh, I failed to show you all. Yeah, I'll click on once the apps are created, click on Python 3 manage.py run server. And this is one of the very best feature of Django. Okay, is already in use. Let's run it on port 0.0.0.0:8000. Port is already in. Okay, wait, one sec. I'll stop this. Control C, and I'll start this. Where's my command? Okay, let's type it. Python 3. Python 3 manage.py run server. Now this is the most exciting feature of Django. You can once you install the application, you click on this link and you have a page by default. Getting my point? The page is open in Windows Chrome. Okay, and I never wrote anything for getting this page, but that will show that install worked successfully. Congratulations. That is the beauty of Django. You all just need to install a Django and you're done. You have created an application. Now one more very good feature is Django admin. But before that, we need to run migrations. We'll come over to it, and I think that Tabish will help you all over with that. So we'll continue with the explanation of the files. The admin.py file is used to register your models to the admin site, so that you can see what all the changes are. You don't need an application to view your database. All you need is a admin site, which is provided by Django by default. The next I'll come to is the views.py file. Now all your views are written over here. All the functionality is written over here. The functionality will be written over here, and the main root file, the Django demo, will consist of a urls.py file. Now this URLs will consist of all the URLs to your site, or else you can create a new file in your application as well. I hope Tabish will be explaining all those things. So that's what the folder structure for Django is. It consists of a root folder, which consists of all the files and the manage.py file, and it will also consist of a DB SQLite 3 or database by default. Apart from that, it will consist a folder with settings.py file, which is the most important file of your Django project, which consists all the required things to run your file, to run your Django application, the database configurations, the password validators, etc., and etc. We will be going through this in detail, much more detail. The urls.py file, which defines what URLs will be provided by this application. The wizgit.py file, the WSGI is the server which Django provides by default. And that's it. We don't need to touch this file anywhere. The ASCII is same as WSGI, but we generally use WSGI. And that's it from my end. I think I have made myself clear. You guys, if have any issues, you all can please raise your hand or unmute yourself and post your issues in the chat box as well. I think Asif has to say something. He has raised his hand. Yes, Asif, please go ahead.
Couple of things here, Aman.
Yes, please.
So when you say that, like, accounts, Aman, demo one, you referred it as you are creating an application. So is it something that what you have ENY at the top, you are creating a different component or the functionality of that project, or each one of them is referred as a one individual project?
No. The first point which you said, it's a kind of creating a functionality which is different from others. For example, over here, when I created an accounts app, generally when we start the project, we create an accounts app. Now what do we do in this accounts app? We do the login and those things, the login part, the registration part, the user registration part, the sign up part. All those things are managed by the accounts app. But other functionalities. For example, we have an e-commerce website, and then the e-commerce website has many other things for the categories, the products, and all those things. So that won't be included in this accounts models. Those things will be created in some other application. For example, in Tabish model, I will place all those classes for the products. I will place all those categories for the products, and all because the sign up, the login thing is an individual entity, and that isn't anywhere related to the products and the categories. Logically they are internally related, but logically they aren't. Getting my point? So that kind of creates a logical separation between the various parts of the project, and that's a very good practice of creating a project. If you create a single application, so whenever you need to add a functionality, you need to create an application, that's called an application in Django. But let's not confuse it with an application of a real world. For example, our mobile application, no, it's not a mobile application. It's an independent entity of Django, which they call as the application. So we'll be also calling it application, and that's used to create a logical separation from each other. Now account will be logically separated, so that whenever you point a URL to some of the views, then it will directly go to the accounts app, and it won't roam anywhere else. So kind of create an efficiency, and all those points are and that's the reason why an app is created.
Okay.
I hope I have cleared my point.
Yes, it's clear now. I do understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so for hosting this application, what is the web server that we use? Is that a ISS Apache is supported, or is there any specific requirement for the?
No specific requirements as such. You can use Apache as well. You can use Nginx. There is one more, Lightspeed, I think so. Yeah, you can use all the servers. No such requirements. All you have to do is because this, as I said, the wizgy.py file is the server provided by default. So this is the local server. This is the demo server, the test server, which is used to test what's the functionality which I am which I am producing in the production stage. This is the production server, and in the actual deployment server, you need to use a actual deployment server. I generally use Gunicon for the same, which is used to handle multiple requests. This server can't be used in deployment. This server can't be used. It's not capable of handling many requests at a time. So
But what is the recommendation from the?
I would recommend Nginx Nginx to be used as the web server for Django application deployments.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Great.
Nginx is capable to handle the request, and it has a reverse proxy feature. So yeah, that goes well with the Django projects.
Okay. And one last question, Aman.
Yeah, please.
We have these different PY files getting generated through the when we create an application. So
Yeah.
is there a way, like you said, that init.py is a blank file where we go and write our model kind of a stuff? So is there any way that we can know the code syntax or the code template? Like if you talk about the ASP.NET application, when
Yeah.
you create it, it gives the one of the default template in terms of how your model will, like by default it generates a 5 method when you write a
Yeah.
controller.
Got your point. So you mean to say, is there a default model or default views which are generated so that we can refer that models and we can create our own?
Yes,
Right?
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So Django by default doesn't provide that, but you can always refer the documentation for the same. I'll show you Django models. Here you go. See, here they have written each and every code. So from here you can get the class. I can copy this class directly, and I can paste it in my files, in any of the files. Let's paste it in our models.py file. This line is, yeah, that's it. I got the model. I created a model named person with the first name and the last name. So that once I run manage.py file, make migrations.
Yeah, that database tables will be created.
Yeah. So make migrations. Migrations. Yeah, that's great. And then, oh, why no changes detected? Okay, let's do it. Yeah, so I need to make changes in the root file. This will be gone through Tabish, but just I'll show you all.
Okay. I do
accounts.
understand. It's like
Yeah.
similar way
So you
we
can
have a
directly pick all the required things from the documentation. No need to worry. And the documentation is in greater depth. So even I haven't completed the documentation. I just go through the fields which I require, and then I use those. Or I just refer the documentation and I implement the same in my app. So you can also refer the documentations. Apart from that, there are various resources for each and every requirement. So I haven't faced any such issues where I have a problem or I have an issue and I didn't got the solution for the same. For each and every issue, they have a solution on the internet available. So I hope that it would help you to a greater extent.
Yeah. If you can just paste the documentation link on the chat window, I'll just keep it.
Documentation, okay. Yeah, no issues.
Is there any way, like, is there any other documentation site that you prefer to, in terms of implementing a project?
Yeah, there are two sites. One is medium.com and the other is simple is better than complex, which I generally refer. Apart from that, I also use Mozilla Mozilla for the documentation, but that I use sometimes. Yeah, this is very
they do have a plugin also.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, so this documentation is also very much helpful and explanatory in its own sense. And I also use medium.com. Here you go. So this is also very good. So these are 2-3 documentations which I generally refer myself for the issues which I face. They have explained everything in detail, but yeah, some people face issues in reading the documentation. So we also I'll also suggest one of the YouTube applications, YouTube sites.
Where do I see the framework collections? Like, what all frameworks are available for the Django?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the framework collection, like,
framework collection.
Yeah, different frameworks available, right?
Yeah. So you can check here Python web framework list. That's it. You can get all the frameworks which are there for Python. I think Django is the industry topper over here as well. Yeah, Django is the industry topper here as well. But apart from that, people also use Flask if you need to develop APIs in general. Because Python is also very effective in API development, but Flask is much more specialized into API development. And nowadays there is a new framework named as Fast API, which they claim that is much more faster than Django, but I haven't used it. Each and every framework is almost similar to the other. So I think
what was the last one you said? Fast API.
Fast API, yeah, FAST, Fast API.
Okay.
So that's specifically for API development. So this is the site, this is the video lectures which we generally refer. He has a very good course on Udemy as well. Udemy, in-depth course on Udemy. You can Django course on Udemy, which you can use. His name is Justin Michel. Justin Michel. Yeah, Django.
Okay.
So that all are the this course.
Okay.
This
I'll
is
go ahead and buy this
great.
one.
Yeah. So he's a very good explainer. So I think we should move ahead. Now Tabish will help you all in creating a complete application. The files which I just created. Now Tabish will actually show you all the implementation part. Okay.
Thank you, Aman. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries. Anyone else have any doubts? You all can just please move ahead.
Quick question. One quick question.
Yes, please.
I missed some steps between, so I wanted to confirm. So what I've done is I've created a new virtual environment, Python-m vn Django. Okay. And then within that, I executed the command activate.bat.
Yes.
Then I got inside that project, and within that I did py-m pip install Django.
Py-m pip install Django. Okay.
Yeah, so it has installed this few packages and all for Django.
Okay.
Now, what is the next step I need to do?
You need to start an application, and my colleague will be explaining it from the very same point. Okay. So no need to worry. You will.
So I'm at the correct point right now.
Yeah, you are at the correct point. No issues. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Aman bhai, it was really difficult to follow
Yeah.
for the installation and configuration part.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, being a window user, it was really difficult for me.
Okay.
So I'm not able to connect and I'm not able to be on same page where you are. And
Okay.
what you are explaining, those documentation and all looks like very advanced. So
Okay.
for the new learner, if
Okay.
you will be little slow, that will be, I think, it will be more efficient for us.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry from my end, Abdul sir. But we will be providing the recordings for the same. So I think you all can go through it once again. And the documentation thing is just for a reference. So if you all are facing any issues, no worries if you all are not understanding, because now the lecture is not over yet. My colleague will be explaining you all to once again how to create a Django application and all those points. So if you all pay attention to that, I hope that will be clear. That will make the points much more clear.
Okay, fine. Thank you then.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, then I think Tabish should start with that. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you.
Aman, one question
Yeah,
from
yeah.
my side.
Yes,
Actually,
yes.
you executed all this command in Ubuntu, right? So for your window user, we have to use terminal, window terminal, or where
Okay,
we'll
so
execute those commands for Windows.
if you successfully install Visual Studio Code, then there is an inbuilt terminal. You can use that. Apart from that, you can also use the command prompt which is present in Windows. So both will work the same. And just to remind you all, there is nothing platform specific that it runs on Windows and it not runs on Ubuntu, or it runs on Ubuntu and is not running on Windows, because this is all dealing with Python and its framework, and not with command prompt and the terminal things. Okay, now so nothing platform specific. Once you are into the virtual environment, everything is handled by Django and the Python thing. So Python commands. If you all just need to make sure one point: you have successfully installed Django and added it to the path. You have successfully installed Python and added it to the path. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, this is Nizamuddin here.
Yes, Nizam.
Well, Aman bhai, thanks for the explaining under the Unix, but for the Windows user, since I am also a user.
Okay.
So the difference I would only notice that it's for Unix you have Python 3 and then the command.
Yeah.
And for Windows I can see py and then the command, and
Okay,
the rest of the parameters after py or Python 3 are the similar. I can see in the packages of the help file of the Python. So
yeah.
Maybe it would help us.
You are right.
A Windows user.
Yeah, you are right. Nizamuddin. Thanks for sharing this. But you are absolutely right. Py also works, and Python also works. What I think is Python also works because we are actually running Python files for running the configuration. So Py is kind of shortcut for running Python files. You can also type Python 3 and run those commands as well in Windows. And we'll try to come up with something, because most of the users are with Windows. So let's see if we can do something for Windows users from the next lecture. Okay, so over to you, Tabish, please.
Thank you, Aman. So Aman has gone through with the project setup and the application. He made some applications. So few people still are left the part. So I think we'll start from the beginning, and this time we'll go a little bit fast. That is, we only have 15 to 20 minutes left. So the people who are behind, I think they can start with me again. So I'll share my screen. Yeah. So we'll go from the beginning. So I'll again go in the terminal. Is my terminal visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll clear this out and list all the directories. So these are the directories. I'll cd into the desktop, and these are the these are the directories here. So we'll create a virtual environment as well. Virtual env. This is the command to create the virtual environment, and we'll name it Django demo. So the virtual environment has been created. So we'll again cd into this, cd Django demo. Now we are into the virtual environment, and Aman has already shown you these files. I'll clear this out. These are the files generated by the virtual environment, and it already has the Python installed in it. So we'll now activate the virtual environment using source bin/activate.
Avish bhai, when I'm trying to write this virtual environment and this Django demo, it is showing like it's giving me error. The term virtual environment is not recognized.
So I think you haven't installed virtual environment. So you can, which system are you using?
Windows.
Windows, okay. So I think we'll see the virtual environment installation for Windows. Virtual env installation on Windows. Yeah, for Windows, I think you should use this command on the CMD. And after that, you can join us. Is it clear?
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Yeah. So should I go ahead, or I should stop for you?
You can continue.
Yeah, I'm continuing. So we'll activate the environment. Just see here that I'm in the virtual environment folder, and then I'm starting the virtual environment. So this is the command source bin/activate, and it is now activated. You can see the virtual environment is now activated. So now these are the these are the directories, and we'll now start first of all we'll install Django in the virtual environment. So we'll use pip3 install for Ubuntu. For Linux I'm using pip3, and for Windows I think you can use pip install Django. Yeah, it's working. So Django is installed. We can check the Django version using Django-admin version. So here it is. Django is installed and the version is 3.2.8. And now we'll see the commands for Django. Let me clear this first. Django-admin. So this will show Django-admin will show all the commands that are present for this Django admin. So these are the commands. The maximum times we are going to use this one: make migrations, migrate, run server, and start project and start app. These are the commands which are going to be used most of the time. So we'll now start with start a new project. Django admin start project. Yeah, I didn't give a name to the project, so I'll give one now. Django start project.
Yeah, from just a request from this step onwards, if you could go a bit slow so that we'll follow along with you.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll do that. I think I'll deactivate the virtual environment and we'll do it again. So here, using this deactivate command, you can deactivate the virtual environment. So we'll again activate it. Source slash activate. This is the command to activate the virtual environment. So let's activate. So it is activated. And now let's start a new project. Django -admin. Start project. So, and we'll have to give a name to the project. So the name I'm giving is Django demo, same as Aman gave. Yeah, though, so the project has been created. We have list all the directories, and here it is. So we'll cd into that, cd Django admin, Django demo, and these are the files Django admin has generated for us. We'll again cd, and Aman has already gave the overview of the files. So I think we'll start a new project and do something that and at the end of the day we have to create a application. So we'll do that part only. Aman. Yeah, so we only have 10 to 15 minutes. So I think I should go a little bit fast. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So
which command you are executing over here? L?
Yeah, ls and l are the same. You can list the directories using ls or l.
Okay, no worries. I'm able to proceed now. Okay.
Yeah. So I think we should deactivate. We have already created the project. Yeah, the project name is Django demo. So I'm just be with me. I'm deactivating the virtual environment here, and I'm closing the terminal. And after that,
should we follow the same things along with you, deactivating and closing the terminal?
Yeah, you absolutely you can, because I'm going to do this. I've already I use the terminal to start the project only, and the remaining part, the main part, will be used in the VS Code terminal. Both terminals can be used for the for the project. So we generated the project file. I think project file is here it is, the Django demo. So we'll open it. It is the virtual environment file, and if this is the project file, so we'll open it in VS Code. Yeah, here it is. Aman has already gave the overview of the files. Here are they. So we'll do the same thing. I think I should change the theme.
Meanwhile, I have one basic question. When we did that deactivate.bat, what happens exactly with that? I mean, is it that the next further installation will keep happening in the same environment or something like that?
Yeah, so when we deactivate the command, we come to so the example that Aman gave, that we have a school and a class. So when we are deactivating the virtual environment, we are coming out of the class. That is the terminal, the commands which we are going to use, which we have used, the packages which we have installed in the virtual environment, those are not valid outside. That we have installed it only in the virtual environment, not on the whole system. Yeah, is it clear now?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I've started the terminal of VS Code, and you can do it from the terminal, a new terminal, or you can. Aman has already shown you that control and the button that is just below the escape button. So you can do it. So I'll again do the activation part here. I'll go here. Yeah, here we are. So just take a note that we have to activate the virtual environment, we have to be in the virtual environment folder. Actually I gave both the folder, the project and virtual environment same name. This is I think this we can do that, but this is not a good practice. So the next time I'll change it. I think we can change it now only.
In sorry to interrupt, in new terminal it gives option new PowerShell new command prompt, new JavaScript debug terminal. Which one we should open?
Is there a option for bash?
Bash, there is no option for bash.
Can you
It
repeat the
gives
option?
PowerShell, command prompt, and JavaScript.
You have
I'll repeat
CMD.
it. PowerShell.
So use PowerShell.
Command prompt.
No, use CMD. That is command prompt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
we'll activate the virtual environment, that is source bin/activate. Now we are in the virtual environment. So now we'll start the project. Aman has already shown, and I have already shown how to. We have started the project already, and Aman has already shown. So we'll now go into that project. I'll cd into that cd Django demo, and here is so now we'll start a new app, Django-admin start app. This is the command to start a new application. I only one more thing, that a website is made of many small applications. A website is divided in. Don't confuse a website with a web app. Yeah, a website consists of many applications. So we are creating one. So we'll give a name to this. I'll give it a portal, the main app. I usually do this. The main app, I give a portal name to the main app. So we'll start it. The app is being start. So in the so here it is. We have all the files. Aman has already gave the overview. So I think we should we should create a page for our application. So we'll simply do that. I'll exit the command, and first of all, we have created the app, so we have to register the app. Aman has shown you the installed apps in the settings. So here it is. So we have created the app with the name portal. So we'll install it. So we have created, but we haven't told Django that the settings file. We haven't told that we have created a new app, and we have some stuff there. So we'll do that first. So we'll add portal in our application list. So here it is. We have done that. Now we'll do something in the portal. So I think we should create a model. So for the model, we simply create a class. Aman has shown you. We'll do the same. The class will be person, and it will be inheriting from models.model. This models file is already from Django, that it already have gave us this file. So we are inheriting this class with we are inheriting person with this models.model class, and we'll create some fields for the person, that is first name. First name. So for name will be a character field. So we'll give a models.char field. Just stay with me. I'll explain this in much more deeper, or Aman will also continue. But we are just creating a simple application and a model. Just stay with me. So we'll give it.
Request one thing actually.
Yeah.
As a new comer for this thing, Django and all. We are I'm not sure about others, but I'm finding it a bit difficult to follow with this speed. Okay, for example, we are using first of all other environment, for example, Windows. Okay, by the time we are figuring out that terminal and all, we are in the next step. So it's a bit difficult to follow the space. So when we are at the basic steps, so if you could go a bit slower at the initial step when we are setting up the project and all. Because I'm stuck there at terminal itself.
Okay.
So I've gone to the terminal, and I've done the CD to that Django demo folder, but I don't know what to do further.
Have you activated the virtual environment?
In the
started an app?
Again?
Have you started the virtual environment?
No. In the terminal
do you have
again,
something
I've not done
like
that.
this? Do you have something like this on your terminal?
No. Let me do that quickly. Let me activate the terminal. I remember the step for terminal activation.
It is source bin be in the virtual
It
env
is
folder.
activated now.
Yeah.
Now we need to go to Django demo.
Yeah. First of all, install Django.
Django I had installed from the initial terminal.
Yeah. Okay.
We need the same
So
terminal.
no,
I'm doing the
you have
thing now.
installed. So did you install it in the virtual environment or on the main server, main machine?
No, in the virtual environment.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So you can start a project with I'll show you.
That also I did done, but after going to Visual Studio Code, you mentioned that go to terminal. So I've gone to that terminal, and within that I've activated the virtual environment.
Yeah.
And now I need to go to that Django demo folder.
Yeah, you should be in the main project folder. You can see my cursor. This is the main project folder.
Okay, that I should open from the Explorer. I mean, Visual Studio Code Explorer now.
Yeah. From the file you can do it.
Okay, just open file, open folder.
I think we should go further. Let's not go into the models now. I'll show you something with the views.
Okay, I've opened the Django folder from the Explorer, from file.
Yeah, so we cannot do individual debugging over here. So I think Kavish, you can continue with the session, or you're already ahead of the time.
Yeah.
So maybe you can wind up the session.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't make it. So somebody is also saying in the class, so don't do the hands-on and practical classes. If you all got some problem, you can discuss it on the Telegram group. So hope you have all joined the Telegram group. If you have any issues, you can put a message over there. Or you can message individually.
Yeah. So I think we shouldn't go in the models part yet. I'll show you a quick run server thing. So we'll do Python. Open the terminal and do just stay with me. Python 3 manage.py run server. Yeah, it is showing you have 18 unapplied migration. We'll get back to that. But first of all, just click on this link. And it has opened that we have already successfully, the install was successful, worked successful. So it is working now. Again, we'll close this run server using Control-C, and the server is deactivated. So first, apart from that, just go into the applications view file and stay with me. Just do what I'm doing. I'll just create a function. Test. We'll pass request in this. Return. I'll import something from Django.http. Import HTTP response. Yeah. So let's do return HTTP response with a string. Let's write h1 tag. We are returning a string, that is we are writing. I'm writing some HTML, so don't bother about it. It is not a big thing. Hello world. And now we have created a simple view which returns some text to the template, that is to the browser. So I'll show you, just stay with me. We'll copy this function name, Control-C, and in the project folder we have a urls.py file, and here we'll create a new path. First of all, import, let's import from from portal dot views. So the part which Aman was explaining is the init file. Let's us import this let us treat this folder as a Python package. So the init we have imported it here. Use import test. We have imported the function, and this I'll do it from scratch. Yeah. So we'll write a path. Let's not write a path. It is the main page, that is home page. This will be the home page, and we'll pass this function, and we'll give it a name. Name will be my test function. And add a comma. Yeah. So this. So here it is. We have created our first website, which simply returns us text to the browser. This is very this is the most basic application which we achieved using the function based view. So I'll take another do a overview of this again. So simply we wrote a function in the views file of the application, and this function returns a HTTP response. That is it returns a text. We can also we have it already Django's already imported a render method. This is used to render some template. That is we in the next lectures we'll write some HTML and CSS for our website. Let's look at this. This is a white page. You only have written some string, but in the coming lectures we'll be doing some stuff with the HTML and CSS. That is that time we'll use this render method to render our templates in the views. So this is it. So we wrote a function, and we imported this function in the URL files, and we told Django that at the home page we want this function to be run. Yeah, whenever this URL is called, that is no I'll change it to test, add a slash in the end. With the server is running, if I refresh it, so it is showing nothing. And if I do test, add a slash to the end. Now we have changed the path of the page which we have created. So I think this part is clear. We have created a very basic website for our testing.